You are Locked On Marlins POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Fish fans? Yes, we are live, and this is what happens when you go live. And let's see if I can get this to there it goes. Come on, baby. Perfection. Finally, we got it. There we go. Hello, Houston. We have a problem, Houston. I just want to say it because the line cheating rotten Astros. Also, to get myself out of a little bit of a jam we had technically to start the show. What is up, Fish fans? Yes, we'll try this again. Welcome to your Locked On Marlins postcast. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries, and you probably have no idea why in the world any of that just happened. Well, there was a little bit of an audio issue to where I have it going through a very nice piece of equipment called a Focusrite Scarlett. Well, anyway, it's right through my, well, look at that. Beard's looking good too. It comes right through these little bad boys right here, which my now 15-year-old son gave me 3 years ago when they were no longer good enough for him. But hey, Sony's, so I still love them. Anyway, so the audio comes through here. It goes out through here, and it comes to you. I have a whole setup here with lights, camera. You'd never know I'd had lights blaring in my face like I stole something, surrounded. But no, anyway, the lights looked really good yesterday in the show. Not really sure why today they're back to being dark again, coming out of the dark. Well, anyway, now that everything is working correctly and coming through here instead of the TV and the camera and everything over there, the elaborate setup is working beautifully, just like the Marlins. Hey, how about that right there? The Marlins with a win today. Locked on Luzardo. You see it? Locked on. Locked on Luzardo. You like what I did there? Locked on, right? Your team every day. Well, your team is the Marlins. You know that Luzardo is locked in right now. Jesus coming off that DL on fire, made his 84th career start today. And, just continuing what the Marlins have done. Look, no earned runs allowed in their last 4 starts. That's the top of the rotation. That's the starting pitchers. That's Braxton Garrett. That's Jesus Luzardo. That's Ryan Weathers. Throw them all in there, right? 28 scoreless innings in a row for the Marlins. And how about that? You know what I'm saying? We got some things going on right now. We got people watching the show. We're excited to have you here as we bring you your Locked On Marlins postcast, Locked On Sports Miami, as well as wherever you're listening to your podcast, which could be Spotify, could be iHeart, could be Apple Music, you name it. My name's Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries, but the Marlins with the 8-0 win tonight, and it's all going well for their starting pitching. Luzardo at 95 miles an hour, not overwhelmingly blowing you away with the stuff, but pulling the string nicely on that slider. And how about the defense in center field from Jazz Chisholm? I've said this now, and I'm repeating it every single show. A great diving catch. He got a hit, too, later in the game, doing well at the leadoff spot in the order. But Jazz Chisholm Jr. has been playing outstanding defense in center field. And when you look at Luzardo, and I have this in my notes, 6 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, no walks, and this is the last thing I have on his stat line. Are you ready? 2 club-friendly arbitration-eligible years on his contract, meaning club-friendly, meaning they own his rights for 2 straight years through arbitration, meaning the most he can do is make more through arbitration, meaning his contract is extremely, extremely appealing and appetizing even to a lot of teams out there who may or may not want to work a deal out with the Marlins before the break. So he's had 15 strikeouts in his last 2 starts now for Luzardo, 6 innings pitched, 7 Ks, no walks today, 2 arbitration club-friendly years right now on that deal. So talk about the Marlins, talk about the fire sale impending, whatever is going to happen with this team. Talk about Luis Severino already being gone to San Diego. Look, the Padres looking to contend in the National League this year in the Western Division, and it just wasn't going their way with Xander Bogaerts. They needed to do something else at second base. Well, the Marlins right now, everything is going well for them. Chisholm's done well in the leadoff spot, although at 1 for 5 today, his average went up to 250. Came down a little bit, but I'm being facetious. But De La Cruz, DLC, didn't have a hit today until later in the game, but he did drive in a run with a sac fly, which was nice for him. Bell had 2 hits. He turned around, he hit from both sides of the plate in this game, kind of showing off the skills. And if you watch the show day in and day out, which course you do. You know that Josh Bell is coveted out there on the trade market because of the fact that he's a switch hitting first baseman with power. And he had a couple of hits today. Berger had 2 hits. It's nice to see Jake kind of starting to swing it a little bit. And usually this happens, right? When a guy's been on the injured list for a couple of weeks and, he comes back, you have to get your timing back, and you have to get your day-to-day routine, and you get your looks back at those pitchers and try to see what it is that you can do to get that timing locked in. And the only thing you can really do is get at-bats, and you're not going to look your best in those at-bats as you're reaching that point. And that's what was happening with Berger, but Berger got a couple of hits today. Average is at 188. Obviously, Jake's not going to stay there, but 188 is where his average is right now. Brujan with a couple of more hits today. I like him in that 8-hole playing short, man. 2 for 3, average up to 264. Nick Gordon had a hit today, 1 for 4. 225 is his average, right around there. And then Fortes with the home run, 3-run shot. He was 3 for 3 in this game today. How about that? The hit and the run scored in the 9th inning as well. So have a game, Fortes, and that was nice to see him because, look, I mean, it's been a different guy every day in the lineup for this team. Different players have been carrying the load offensively, and, it's just been the starting pitching's just been fantastic. And, Luzardo again today, look, 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, no walks, had 5 hits, good defense played behind him, but you're starting to look at a nice little run, right, in his last couple of starts. He's been pretty good. Last time out against Philly, he pitched 5 2/3, and they lost that game 8-3. But in 5 2/3 innings, he had given up 2 earned runs. Luzardo in that game, 2 earned runs his last time out. Before that, against the Cubs in Chicago. Seems like an eternity ago, right? When they went to Chicago. Before that, it was the 14th against Atlanta. 5 innings pitched and 5 earned runs, and it was the 8th against the Yankees before that, the 7 earned runs, and the 3 against the Angels before that. So the Angels, the Yankees, and the Braves back-to-back ripped on Luzardo. He went on the DL, comes back out, and look, he did well against the Cubs. And in that space there, he went on the DL and came back against the Phillies on the 11th. And he looked pretty sharp, the 5 2/3 with the 2 earned runs, and looked really good tonight against the Mets. And he's starting to take shape and be that Luzardo, Jesus Luzardo, that you're going to get. You're going to get those 5-6 innings, and you're going to get him pulling the string with the slider, especially to the lefties when they're kind of flailing at that pitch. And you saw that a couple of times tonight. Different guys in the lineup making it happen for the Marlins. And, look, they scored a bunch of runs in the 2nd inning. Fortes hit that home run to left center. Gordon and Brujan were on base to score on that one. Lopez hit the sacrifice fly to center field, and Sanchez scored. He was the only Marlins guy in the lineup, Marlins hitter in the lineup to not have a hit, Sanchez. And that was so he had the sacrifice fly. And then, of course, you saw in the 8th inning, Bell grounding into, I said the 9th earlier, I forget they're at home. Bell grounds into the fielder's choice, and Fortes scored. And Fortes had singled. And I mentioned Fortes because he's 3 for 3 with the 3-run homer. The run scored as well. And just had himself a ball game. De La Cruz, DLC, had another RBI. He's been really hitting the ball well lately for the Marlins. And, it's nice when Fortes comes in there and gives Bethancourt a day off and is able to produce offensively as well. And, you're looking at the rest of the series now. You got Braxton Garrett and Ryan Weathers back-to-back to finish it up, right? You got Ryan Weathers in game 3. No, Sixto Sanchez, excuse me. Weathers will be game 1 of the Brewers then, because game 2 of this series tomorrow will be Braxton Garrett and then Sixto. Okay, so yeah, it'll be Weathers in game 1 against the Brewers is what you'll see there. So nothing wrong with that picture, right? Or that pitcher, as it were. But a nice win for the Marlins. I mean, they extend the winning streak. Good job there. 4 out of 5 now. And, they won the last 2 games of the Detroit series, and now the first game of this Mets series, really carrying that momentum forward, and see if tomorrow they can continue that with Braxton Garrett, who looked pretty good his last time out. We'll look at him moving forward with this show. We'll look at Braxton Garrett and tell you what to look for in his performance on the mound tomorrow and what you can expect to see from him, as well as what else the Marlins can do to keep this momentum going offensively. It's been a little bit of everything, a little bit of a different recipe from the Marlins night in and night out, different players contributing, and that's what happens when you start to go good. And look, with the Marlins having been so bad at times this season, now at 14-32 on a roll, Marlins fans. This is your Locked On Marlins POSTCAST. Locked On Marlins POSTCAST with me, Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. Take a break and pay some bills right about now. There we go. Take a peek at the Supply House copy right here. It's called On the Fly, and you got to love it when you're live. And hey, why not a camera right in your face, lights blaring on you? You're in charge of the production. Nothing to fear here. Bring it on. Let's go. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trade, and that is supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every single time, kind of like you're doing with me right now. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free trade master program. Every trade master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. Want to thank you for making Locked On Marlins POSTCAST and Locked On Marlins in general, this whole channel, Locked On Sports Miami, your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, my name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. Really excited to have you here with me today as the Miami Marlins win for the fourth time in 5 games. And how about that? I mean, 3 in a row now, 4 out of 5. A nice job, a real nice job in the win column, as Joe Angel would say. Appreciate you, Baseball Fan 31. Let's go Marlins. Man, doing good, Baseball Fan 31. Had to give you a shout out. Appreciate you being here. And, we're just getting this rolling with Locked On. Appreciate you being here. Locked On Sports Miami on YouTube, as well as wherever you listen to your podcast. The numbers are doing pretty good there. And that would be Spotify. That would be Apple Music. That would be iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, you name it. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries at @JimGries_, Gries. And you see that name and lights up there, man. Locked On Luzardo. Locked On Luzardo was locked in today for the Marlins. And we talked about his numbers. And we know that the average viewer on a podcast is not going to be around for long. So while you're here, remind you that Luzardo was fantastic tonight. 6 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, 5 hits, no walks, 15 Ks now, 15 in his last 2 starts. This game and the Phillies game, right, against pretty good hitting teams. He's got 2 arbitration club-friendly years left on his contract, which is big for the trades, right? But 28 scoreless innings in a row for the Marlins. No earned runs in their last 4 starts for the starting pitchers on this team. That means Weathers. That means Luzardo. That means Braxton Garrett, who starts tomorrow. You know what I mean? So a pretty good run for the starting pitchers. And when you can hand the ball to these guys every 5 days, and look, the bullpen's been really good lately too. The bullpen, and I missed it tonight, the exact start, but since May 1st is what it was, the Miami Marlins bullpen has an ERA. Think about this. The ERA of the bullpen, just the bullpen, not the starting pitchers. The bullpen ERA is under 2.5 since May 1st. Under 2.5 since the middle of April. Since the middle of April, under 2.5. You're going to win a lot of games. You are going to win a lot of games when your bullpen does that. But when Luzardo, who's 6 feet, 218 pounds, 26 years old, right? 1-3 with a 5.02 ERA. He was not going well before the DL stint. Look, he the Cubs game, 2 earned runs in 6 innings was looking all right. Then, goes to the DL or the IL, and then comes off for the Phillies game, 2 earned runs, 4 hits in 5 2/3. And then tonight, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks. You love seeing that. You love seeing that, right? 33 hits in 37 2/3 innings now, but you almost want to throw out his starts before he went to the DL. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was a muscle strain in his throwing elbow, a flexor muscle strain. So he's scary, right? 0-2 with a 6.58 ERA and 5 starts at the time of the injury. Was the opening day starter for the Marlins, remember? And so far, so good. You remember at the time he wanted to come back soon and he was on the IL, and Skip Shoemaker said, of course, you'd love to see him playing catch after a big scare, but it's a good sign. Let's see what happens with the recovery. And so far, so good for Luzardo. And it's nice to see, because as your opening day starter, he's got electric stuff. He's got, and they did a whole thing on ESPN talking about numbers, with his injury scare and the numbers with his elbow. And it was all documented. Those games that he pitched against the Braves, against the Yankees, against the Angels, where he got lit up, his elbow was not doing so great at the time. But tonight, he got plenty of support. He was just cruising. And Luzardo, he gave up the 5 hits, and there were a couple of times there that, they had a couple of things. And look, the Marlins had twice bases loaded with nobody out. And once they didn't score, bases loaded with nobody out in the 4th inning, they were 1 for 10 at one point in time. Now, this was right before they scored a couple of more runs in the 8th inning, so the numbers had changed a little bit more. But at one point in time in the 8th inning, during the bottom of the 8th, they gave this number that the Marlins, to that point in the game, were 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They had bases loaded and nobody out in the 4th inning and did not score, and they still won this game 8-0. Sometimes when it rains, it pours, right? It rains, it pours. And how about Anthony Bender? Phenomenal again tonight. Anthony Bender, another scoreless innings pitch. So 7 in a row now for him. His last 6 outings, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs. Smith came in, 1 hit, no runs allowed, 1 walk, no hits, no runs, with a strikeout for Maldonado, who's been great. Nardi's been really good lately. Their bullpen's been fantastic. I just told you about the Marlins bullpen. ERA for the guys in the bullpen under 2.5 since the middle of April. So a lot of really good things happening for the Marlins right now as you continue here with me, Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. It is your Locked On Marlins postcast, and we are going to continue to pay a couple of bills here when we come back and wrap things up. Look at that. We're doing great with the audience here. Do we have another comment to read for you? Having a lot of fun. Audience is building every day. The problem was the pitchers, but now they are good. That ERA ain't that bright. Hey, my under 2.5 with the ERA is pretty good for the bullpen, right? Yep, and 7 strikeouts. Good job, baseball fan 31. Appreciate having you here, my brother or my sister, whichever one. And yeah, look at that. The 8-0 win. Their 4th in 5 games, 3 in a row for the Marlins. Looking good, playing defense behind their starting pitching. Now Chisholm had another great catch tonight in the outfield, and you're starting to see a little swagger, a little confidence, a little spring in the step of the Miami Marlins as we continue with your Locked On Marlins postcast. Going to take a quick break and let you know about FanDuel real quick. But first, right here with the graphic. Dun, 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 dun. It's music. You know why? It's festive music. You know why? No, it's my kid's birthday week. My daughter, Jaden, and my son, Jake. Happy birthday to my kids. Yes, but I am not talking about birthday month in my house. I'm talking about winner take all time in the NBA, winner take all time in the NHL. And anytime you say those words, winner takes all, it's winner take all time in the NHL and the NBA. And FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's right, $150 on a winning $5 bet with FanDuel. And you can bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. $150. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel.com/lockedon at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Visit FanDuel.com to look at odds to include in your action that you get on the action. FanDuel.com/locked-on. NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball. Yay. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. You're watching your Locked On Marlins postcast. 8-0. The Fish beat the Mets in the series opener. 3 games this weekend. The Mets are in town. Right after that, it's the Milwaukee Brewers. A chance to get this win streak up into that really nice area, right? They've won 3 in a row, maybe 4 or 5 in a row. You could hit here. You could see them winning these 2 series and really having that nice little run. 4 out of 5 right now. Who knows where they can take this thing? The starting pitching has been on fire. Jesus Luzardo added to that tonight with 6 scoreless innings. The bullpen behind him was fantastic as well. And you saw Bender and Smith and Maldonado tonight with scoreless innings in relief of Luzardo, who only threw 89 pitches in 6 innings, striking out 7 Mets hitters. The Mets fall to 20-24, 10-10 on the road. The Marlins 14-32 now, 7-17 at home. Now remember, they won the last game of the Phillies series, and then they won the last 2 games of the Tigers series, and now the opener of the Mets series. Tomorrow it'll be Braxton Garrett against Luis Severino. And let's see, when will that game's time is that first pitch of that game as we and -135 the Mets tomorrow. Over under 7.5. Let's -105, 115. Braxton Garrett, Luis Severino. 4:10 p.m. tomorrow is the first pitch. So 4:10 Eastern. Get home from the beach a little bit early for that one. The Marlins looking good, though. 8-0. They beat the Mets tonight and take the opener of this series. Fortes with the homer. 3 hits and 3 at-bats with the RBIs as well. 3 RBIs and a run scored. A couple of runs scored for him. For the Marlins catcher at the bottom of the lineup, Jazz Chisholm with another great catch in the outfield in support of Jesus Luzardo. The Marlins scratching out runs. They scored on a wild pitch tonight. They scored on a sac fly tonight. The bullpen's been fantastic. So, there's no secret, guys, when you start to win games in Major League Baseball, when you start to see your team going on a roll of any kind, it's because of the pitching. And there's no difference here with the Marlins. Their pitching has been really good lately. The starters have been phenomenal, right? 28 scoreless innings in a row, 4 starts in a row, no earned runs allowed for the starters, but the bullpen's been fantastic as well. The setup guys, the closer and Tanner Scott, who didn't even pitch tonight. It was Maldonado who closed it out. Multiple weapons out there. You can use them however you want when you're Skip, and it's all coming together. It's all working. They have a lot of work to do with the record that they have. They fell so far behind, and right now you feel like you're auditioning players for this fire sale, but in reality, they really do look good day in and day out right now. This team's scrapping. They have a lot of energy. They're not giving up in any game at all, and it's a fun team to watch. It really is a fun team to watch. Scott took the loss for the Mets, and they just got to him in that second inning with Fortes. And everybody's starting to really, Gordon and Bell especially with 2 hits tonight. Berger had a couple of hits. I believe that's Jake's first 2-hit game since he came back. Guy who can definitely put the ball out of the ballpark, hit 280, maybe 270, hit the ball out of the ballpark, and so on and so forth. So I'm excited to see what this Marlins team is going to do. Tomorrow, you got Braxton Garrett on the bump. And, let's talk about tomorrow's game before we wrap it up and get out of here with your Locked On Marlins postcast here on Locked On Sports Miami. Braxton Garrett, and look, he he does not have a win or a loss this year. His ERA is 8.44. His last time out, he gave up 5 earned runs against the Phillies, and that was his first start of the season. Remember, he was on the IL. So it can only go up from here. And so that last time out, 5 earned runs allowed for Braxton Garrett. So, yeah, he's going to have to do his part to join the group and do what Luzardo's done and do what Weathers has done and what the Marlins starters have been doing lately when you've been giving them that baseball to instill that confidence. It's Garrett's turn now against the Mets tomorrow. That's all there is, Fish fans. There is no more. Your Locked On Marlins postcast on your Friday night. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. 8-0. The Marlins beat the New York Mets in the opener of their 3-game series, which will be tomorrow and Sunday. Brewers coming to town. After that, we'll be here live after every game with your Locked On Marlins postcast right here on Locked On Sports Miami, right here wherever you listen to your podcast as well, whether that be Spotify, iHeart, Apple Music, you name it. We'll be here. Locked On Marlins postcast. Keep your game tight and your mind right, Fish fans. We are